Howdy freeze dryers, welcome back to the Live Life Simple kitchen. Today we're making one of the most iconic Thai dishes there is. We're going to be making pad Thai today, and I love pad Thai and really a lot of Thai and Asian cuisine because it just does well in the freeze dryer. If you know how to properly prepare and freeze dry it, it shouldn't have any problems. So we're gonna do that today. We're gonna do freeze dried pad Thai coming up. Pad Thai traditionally has tofu or chicken in it, and I kind of wanted to mix things up and try shrimp in it. I thought shrimp would be good, and we don't do a lot of recipes with shrimp. It's also a noodle bowl style dish, so we're gonna get some noodles going. You're gonna need rice noodles, and we're gonna need 8 ounces of rice noodles. And I'm gonna make this recipe the way I have it worked out right now. I'm not exactly sure how far it's gonna go. We can adjust from there. I believe we're probably gonna need to double this recipe, but we will find out. Let's get some noodles going. And the noodles you need for these are flat rice noodles. They're a little bit different than what you're used to. What's different about rice noodles is you bring the water up to a boil and then you remove it from the heat, drop them in, and then let them sit in the hot water, not while it's boiling like you normally would with pasta. And then you drain and rinse. Next, we're gonna add 1.5 teaspoons of garlic into a saucepan, bring it up to heat. We're gonna add 8 ounces of shrimp or chicken or tofu or whatever you're making. And then I like to add just a splash of broth just to keep them from burning. You could try a little bit of oil. It's going to reduce your storage time if you're wanting to store this for a long time though. Okay, so we're gonna saute this for a couple minutes, then we're gonna push these off to the side. If there's some extra water, it's not the biggest deal in the world. You're gonna take 2 scrambled eggs and you're gonna put those off to this other side, and we're gonna try and scramble a couple eggs off to the side. And then we're gonna dice up very thin a red bell pepper. And this pepper can also go in before the egg, and you can saute it for just kind of to get your desired texture that you want. I'm not sure that it's gonna matter a whole lot once we get this freeze dried, because you're probably not gonna get a crispy or a crunchy red bell pepper. And while we're waiting for that bell pepper to kind of tender up a little bit, we're gonna make the most important part, which is the sauce. And for that, we're gonna need 3 tablespoons of fish sauce, which is kind of an anchovy flavored sauce. It sounds a little gross, but it actually adds a whole lot of flavor. Those anchovies just get a bad rap sometimes. Then we need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And if you don't want to use soy sauce, I know that soy sauce is very salty. I'm using liquid aminos. It's just a little bit healthier version. We're gonna follow that up with 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sriracha, and then 1/4 cup of brown sugar, with my fingers crossed that this is not going to ruin the whole recipe. And then every pad Thai has to have peanut butter, but what do you do? Peanut butter is kind of a bad word in the freeze drying world. It's a no-no, it doesn't work. We're gonna use some PB2. We're gonna take 2 tablespoons of PB2, and then we'll add 1 tablespoon of water. We're gonna mix all of this up, and that's gonna be our magic sauce. And once you add this PB2 in, it can get a little chunky, so I would recommend whisking this, or you can use just to kind of get those chunks of PB2 mixed up so we have a nice even texture. And the next thing we want to do is take our shrimp, our peppers, and our eggs, and our garlic mixture, and then we're gonna wanna add our noodles back into that. We're gonna kind of mix this all around, and then we're gonna pour our sauce over and make sure that our sauce is evenly coated throughout the whole thing. And this is where all that good pad Thai flavor comes from. So if you're making this at home, and hopefully you caught earlier in the video when I was talking about the shrimp, I did not do this, and I'm gonna change it in the beginning of the video when I do the editing, but you wanna dice the shrimp into smaller pieces for a couple reasons. One, so your portions are more consistent with pieces of shrimp, and because shrimp, it does have a little bit of difficulty rehydrating, and those smaller pieces are gonna help with a quick and easy rehydration. Then we're gonna add in 3 green onions, about 1/2 cup of fresh cilantro, and then normally you would put in a bunch of crushed peanuts and some bean sprouts. I know the crushed peanuts will not do well most likely, so I'm not even gonna bother. The bean sprouts I think will probably just get pretty mushy. You could probably freeze dry them separate and add them on after you rehydrate it if you want to. Last ingredient, I'm gonna take 2 limes and I'm gonna make little thin lime wedges because I'm gonna put them in each portion of the freeze drying tray. And then once we get all that in there, we're gonna mix all of that together. That's really gonna add a whole bunch of flavor as well. And you can see this is starting to look really, really tasty. And let's just see how far this gets us on a medium tray. The recipe said it's a recipe for 4, and that sounded like it would make a huge portion, but if this is gonna be your whole meal, I think that's probably right. So let's do a 4 portion, and we can use these and push them down, and they should cut through the noodles enough to give it a spot to break after it's freeze dried. And I almost forgot the lime wedges, so maybe like 4 or 5 pieces in each section, and then if you're bagging these up in single servings, you'll have enough for each portion. And this is the part of the video where I have a hard time getting this stuff actually into the freeze dryer because it looks so good that it's just hard not to eat it, and I may or may not have already taken just a little test sample. So we're gonna do an entire freeze dry process with no pre-freeze today. I'm gonna make this recipe 3 more times to do 4 medium trays, and we'll get the freeze dryer rocking and rolling, and we'll be on our way to some freeze dried pad thai. Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are finding our videos helpful, please let us know by giving us a thumbs up. It helps YouTube know, it helps us know, and if you do like the videos, you probably need to subscribe to the channel. So subscribe to Retired at 40, Live Life Simple. And while you're doing that, click the bell to get notifications. That'll send you a notification every time we release a video. That's Sundays, 8 a.m. since this whole thing started. And if you have questions about freeze drying or you want to just meet other freeze dryers, make sure you subscribe to one of our social media channels. It's Retired at 40's freeze drying group. That can be found on Facebook, and we also have a MeWe group that can be found on as well. And while you're cruising through all those threads, if you can't find what you're looking for, use this magnifying glass. It'll help you search for anything you can possibly think of. You can search for keywords, you can search for topics, members, ingredients, recipes, you name it. And if you think you're ready to pull the trigger on a freeze dryer, make sure you check out our affiliate link down below. That'll take you to Harvestright's website, and they send us a small commission to let them know that we sent you there. And with that commission, we take that and we do giveaways in our freeze drying groups. It helps us maintain the groups. It helps the YouTube videos keep coming, and it also helps us develop new products for freeze drying, which can be found at freezedryingsupplies.com. If you've seen any of the products in this video, that's where those come from. And we appreciate anything you guys can do for the community, because really when the community grows, we all just grow as a whole, and the freeze drying process gets easier, the freeze drying recipes get better, and the bigger the community, the more creativity. We can just take all of that info, and everything just keeps getting better and better. And hopefully our pad thai just keeps getting better and better as it freeze dries. So we're gonna let the machine do its thing, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Well, if you've ever wondered what freeze-dried pad thai looks like, you're about to find out. And it looks amazing, and I've been doing this for long enough now that I'm pretty confident this is gonna be just about perfect. And the dividers made us a perfect way to do that, because we now have a brick of pad thai. So I'm gonna bag this up. I'll save 1 portion out for rehydration, and we'll see if we can get some pad thai going. I'm gonna start out with about 1/4 cup of boiling water. I pulled my limes out just so we can rehydrate those separate. So I'm gonna pour this over slowly. I'll see where that gets us, so kind of mix this up. I'm just gonna go ahead and do a whole half right now. Now we're in between 3/4 cup of hot water and 1 cup. I think that's gonna get us, that's gonna get us where we wanna be. I'm gonna cover this and let it sit so those noodles can rehydrate. I also just put our limes in some water so we can rehydrate those. All right, it looks like our lime wedges are good. They look like you just cut them. Let's see how our pad thai is doing. Kind of want to get this mixed around and probably cover it again just to make sure that some of the noodles will be a little difficult, and I know that shrimp is pretty difficult. It takes shrimp a while to rehydrate. So it looks like the shrimp is starting to get soft, not quite ready yet. I think we'll mix this around again, cover it up, and let it sit for, I don't know, probably another 3 to 5 minutes. Wow, look at this. This is really good. It looks like we just made it. The sauce has just the right amount of water content in there. All the brown sugar, all the peanut, everything freeze dried. Awesome. I'm gonna top this with a little lime. I am so excited to eat this. I am so excited that this turned out the way it does. I've been wanting to freeze dry stuff like this for a long time. The shrimp actually did really well. We just need to make sure that it's cut into smaller pieces, or it will take a while to rehydrate. The peanut sauce is right on. Even all of the cilantro and everything, it looks like you just made it. Really cool. Super stoked about the pad thai. I feel like since I've gotten into this new studio, I've just been able to be a lot more creative and try things that I've been wanting to try for a long time. And stuff like pad thai, and last week we did the enchiladas, just things that I never thought would necessarily turn out, or it would be tricky to get them to turn out. Man, it's a good time to be a freeze dryer. In the meantime, this is Retired at 40. Remember to live life simple. Catch you next week.